Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. It's your old pal Jake, and this is the arraignment of Donald Trump. We are covering it live. Steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal. No, from the void. We are covering it live from the void here on Wicked. Donald Trump is expected to be, or scheduled to be, arraigned at 2:15. We are but a humble couple of minutes away from that. Man, oh man. Curious to see what he's going to say. He's got some posts on Truth Social up, of course. He's been walking and tweeting. We're gonna look at those. We're gonna listen to his speech after. Gonna see if the judge imposes a gag order on this guy. I hope the judge does. He's asked for it. First and foremost, let's handle the important things. I got a pot of coffee on. I'm gonna go pour a cup. I'll be right back. Here is the live feed from the site of arraignment. Oh boy, folks. Justice Day in America. Well, we got that coffee on. Let's do a quick recap. So, we're expecting at 2:15 the judge to or the arraignment to take place. During the arraignment, one thing we're going to be listening for is whether or not Donald Trump just immediately has a gag order put on him. A couple observations from the courtroom. They have apparently hired a Sasquatch. I don't know if you saw that security guy earlier, that officer. But yeah, good to see Bigfoot's got some reliable employment. I understand the police union very good in New York. Just cannot wait to see Trump sweating live on TV. All right, I believe I hear my coffee boiling over. There it is. I'll be right back. How y'all feeling, by the way? How you feeling on this arraignment day? I'm feeling pretty good. Me say one thing Nancy can understand. One thing Nancy can understand. What make them a talk about me ambition? Say what makes them talk about me ambition? Bum 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 bum. Yeah, I'm feeling good. It's just delightful. Man, oh man. There's the biggin. Good Lord. Nobody's pushing their way in there. Have a look at Truth Social. Why not? See what Trump's been saying. Heading to Lower Manhattan, he says 36 minutes ago. The courthouse seems so surreal. Wow, they're going to arrest me. I'm trying to emphasize the caps. Can't believe this is happening in America. MAGA. 3 hours ago, when you see Rhino's Karl Rove, Bill Barr? He's calling Bill Barr a Rhino? That was like his guy. Or Paul Ryan on your television screen, just turn to a different station or turn off your set. You're better off watching the Democrats. Oh. He really... Look, if you want to know how to hurt this guy, he's telling you. Get information to his audience. He's terrified that his one-time voters will pay attention to any of this. Do you guys remember Fox News, the very first day of the January 6th hearings? They literally had a musical guest sing a song about how people shouldn't pay attention. Their lies don't hold up well under oath. Actually, don't hold up at all under oath. So, doesn't surprise me that Trump's Truth Social post says that you shouldn't pay attention to the news tonight. Will 2024 says, get the coffee brewing. Baby, you know it. Champagne on ice, absolutely. Hey, Jake, I wonder if there will be a cavity search. Ouch. Yeah, Will, I gotta say, I feel worse for the officer that has to do the search if and when that happens. Just let him have the contraband. Just let him have it. Good God. Hell, the continued existence of America isn't even worth putting one person through having to put a hand up Donald Trump's bum. Bum 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 bum. I fucking love Sister Nancy, man. I've been in a real Sister Nancy kick of late. 4 days ago, grand jury votes to indict Trump. He posts in a picture. I need your help. Let's see, when he asks for money to defend our movement. To defend our movement from the never-ending witch hunt and win the White House in 2024. Contribute. You know what? Just realized there ain't no reason why we can't look at this together. We have something set up for this. Oh, there is. I don't really want to miss this. Yeah, we'll do it real quick. We'll be lickety-split with our clickety-click. Nope, didn't mean to do that. Stand by. Let's look at this Truth Social feed. They say that one. Oh, I don't remember. I genuinely don't remember my login information. All right, I'm just going to read it. I feel a little nervous about moving away from the main feed anyway. Truth Social. Donald J. Trump. Literally the only account I follow on there. The only account worth following. And then only to tell people about what a psychopath he is. 3 hours ago, This is entirely, if you're wondering what's caps in this, every single bit of this is caps. Why does Fox keep putting on Bill Barr? As Attorney General, he was a complete coward who was absolutely petrified of being impeached, which the Democrats threatened to do until he became their virtual slave, he puts that in quotes, and refused to investigate and prosecute the massive election fraud that took place in the 2020 presidential elections, says guy who tried a coup in 2020 by the far radical left's greatest concern. By far the radical left's greatest concern. Yeah. Yeah. Not illegally overturning an election. I would say that would be the radical left's greatest concern. He said he did investigate, but he didn't have the quote-unquote guts to properly do so. And now we have a nation in massive decline. So he does that. It's like implying that somebody else said, this guy doesn't have the guts. Nobody else said that. He's not quoting anybody. 4 hours ago, the radical left Democrats have criminalized, all caps. I'm scrolling through this. Ain't nothing but caps. For post after post. All right, some of these don't have all caps. Most of these are in all caps. The radical left Democrats have criminalized the justice system. This is not what America was supposed to be. Very unfair venue, with some areas that voted 1% Republican. This case could be moved to nearby Staten Island, would be a very fair and very secure location for the trial. Additionally, the highly partisan judge and his family are well-known Trump haters. He was an unfair disaster on a previous Trump-related case, wouldn't recuse, gave horrible jury instructions and impossible to deal with during the witch hunt trial. His daughter worked for Kamala and now the Biden-Harris campaign. Kangaroo court. Oh, buddy. You're suffering, huh? The tea we're drinking today is, as usual, a latte. They're very, very tasty. And I also love the fact that Black Power Media made fun of latte Democrats, and I felt both seen and deeply embarrassed. Reuters/Ipsos poll. I wonder. Donald Trump holds 29-point lead over Ron DeSantis. You know, he does look very weak when he does that. Ron DeSantis, at the end of the day, hasn't said he's running for president. Can't say it. Because he's governor of Florida. Florida has laws that require their governor not run for president. So to see him freaking out over DeSantis, a weak move. It's a bad look. Will 2024 says that security guard is bigger than Groot. Yeah, that's Groot's big brother for sure. I think it should be moved to Rikers Island. Yeah. He's Donald Trump is making it hard thank God, for the criminal justice system to do its normal thing of just letting him go. This is sometimes useful. Let's look at an ad on Truth Social. This one is from Truth Ads, and it's sponsored as legally required to say. Trump's IRS loophole. This tax-free retirement strategy was left open by Donald Trump, but only a few Americans take advantage of it. Read more at Advantage Gold. Swindling old folks out of their retirement. Oofa doofa. Let's see what he's posted most recently. Oh, we got another ad right at the top. Protect your retirement savings from Biden's radical agenda. Click for free wealth protection guide. And by the way, what is it they appear to be offering? Well, in this picture, it is a bar of gold. Literally. Swindling old folks. Yeah, the post that got me most was this one about rhinos. He says, when you see rhinos, Karl Rove, Bill Barr or Paul Ryan on your television screen. Folks, these are far-right dudes. Just turn to a different station or turn off your set. If you support Trump, how do you feel about that? It's got to be embarrassing, right? This dude doesn't think you're a grown-up that can be trusted to look at grown-up facts and listen to conflicting opinions. Got to be insulting. You're better off watching the Democrats. Well, that much we agree with. Oof. So Donald Trump replying to Dan Scavino. Dan Scavino writes on March 8th, he posts a meme of Trump playing a violin. And it's called, my next piece is called Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. And Donald Trump replies, don't know what this means, but sounds good to me. Wink. I think that gag order is likely. At least I hope it's I hope it is put in place. I shouldn't pretend like I can predict this. I can't. But come on. This dude needs to not be interfering with this anymore. Don Jr. Will 2024 says Don Jr. is selling MAGA Bibles. Good Lord, is he seriously? Do they make any change to the text? F it, I gotta look this. I don't. No, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to give him the boost in search terms. Broke my heart to jump away from the Majority Report, but I don't think they're covering this whole thing. I don't know how long this is going to be, actually. Regardless, I wanted to do it. Dang it. And, man. Oh, this might be the moment. But what I was saying is I'm excited to see what this guy is going to say. He's going to come out of that courtroom, and we're not just going to get a sense of how he feels in the moment. Oh, we're absolutely going to get bombarded with how he feels in the moment, but we're going to be able to hear from him before his lawyers have had there's Bragg. Before his lawyers have had a chance to talk him down from saying some wild and some irresponsible things. So he might just get himself in even more trouble. Oh, don't do this to me now. Thank you. Good Lord. I didn't source this, I just realized. We pop the whose feed we are watching in the description. Give them the credit that they are due. Who you got? I just heard someone say I got him. This is from Reuters. And let's pop this puppy in there. As I was saying, what is most exciting about Donald Trump coming out after his arraignment? I take this back. What's most exciting is just that we're proving that there is theoretically, hey, Foxy, good to see you. There is equal justice in America, and a former president, is not above the law. That's most exciting. But what is second most exciting? Oh, and by the way, congratulations to Will 2024, who has been a member for 1 month. Welcome to the Friends of Doris, a.k.a. the Wicked Lobbyist. Delighted to have you, brother. What's most exciting is that Trump is going to come out here and run his mouth. He uses press conferences sometimes to vent. And no matter what he does, it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating if he comes out and he's very chaste and he's very scared and he's suddenly respectful of the criminal justice system. That's going to be fascinating. I think what's more likely, which will be equally fascinating, is if he comes out and he goes, this judge is scum. And this judge says that I am not allowed to say anything. So I won't. I won't talk about their corrupt family or Bragg's evil wife, Trump stuff. It'll be interesting if, in the best case scenario, he doesn't even leave the courtroom before, like, the bailiff comes out and is like, yeah, the judge wants to have a word with you. Not courtroom, the courthouse, before the bailiff comes out and is like, I've been told to hand this contempt of court order that the judge had drawn up and was ready to sign as soon as you did this dumb thing we all knew you were going to do. Machi. I can't wait. Oh, 2 minutes away, folks. Let me know in the comments. What do you think we're going to have? Are we going to have a chaste Trump? Are we going to have a chill Trump or a freaking out Trump? Start a poll. Boom. Humbled or ranting? What I put up. But if you have a specific thought, by all means, put it in the comments. Jim Green says, Jake doing live news. Right on, brother. Oh, yes, sir. You know it. You know it. You know what? Since we're going a little bit casual, I'm going to go full-on detective in the 40s. Pop the legs up on the desk. It is not apparent in the slightest that that's what I'm doing, and it looks incredibly awkward. Sorry, I thought that might have been the moment. Now's your chance to vote in that poll, because we are 60 seconds away, theoretically, from the arraignment, which I think is going to take very little time. I mean, they always take very little time, but this in particular, it's like, okay, so, you know the things he did. Here they are listed on a piece of paper. We going to talk about them under oath. Here's when. When it comes to an actual piece of information that we're looking out for from this, that obviously is going to be like just of the information that we know must come as a result of this. That's the one we should listen for the most. It's when we're going to get some, the next time he is scheduled to appear in court. And you got to temper your expectations. It's going to be down the line. Yeah, it's how long his defense team has to build a case against the specific charges read to him today. Because in theory, before now, I'm sure this isn't true, but in theory, before now, he didn't have access in any way to those charges. So he couldn't build a case against them. So don't be mad. If you hear like, okay, and the thing is in 8 months. That's fine. Believe it or not, that's fine. At that point, it's not the court system delaying and giving him an unjust advantage. That's just normal. God, theoretically, it's happening right now. Ooh, I wonder if he's truthing in court. Let's check. No, okay. Trump's New York indictment could be tip of the iceberg. For Trump, this is Yahoo News. For Trump, indictment in Stormy Daniels' case is just the tip of the iceberg. The Georgia case and the federal ones are the ones where jail time is more likely, lawyer Norm Eisen told Yahoo News. Well, sure. But it's significantly the crimes we're talking about in Georgia happened significantly later than the Stormy Daniels et al. Crimes. So, I mean, I don't really know the point they're making. We'll get into that in a moment. But, first, we're going to do, we're looking at live updates from the courtroom. Let me see what I can get. Live updates, court arraignment. All right, we're looking at ABC. Former President Trump has arrived in New York. He is the first, sure. Yep. Nothing yet. They're using the same news feed we are, or the same camera feed we are. Little inside baseball. Oftentimes, news organizations, in order to not step on each other's toes and make the whole thing a circus, they just agree that, look, somebody is going to have a camera there. Usually multiple people will have cameras there. But as long as we know somebody will be, they agree amongst themselves to share the feed. Because why not? So when you see all these folks using like the Reuters feed, for example, that's not because Reuters has some kind of a special deal. That's just the logistics. Oh, all right. Let's look at some of these. What Yahoo was saying. Ooh. Foxy Dragon says people have gone to prison for 25, 50, and 75 years for lesser financial crimes. You never know. Yeah, maybe. Will 2024 says Jack subpoenas Secret Service agents before the D.C. grand jury. Interesting. Maybe he will be wearing his wife's I don't care coat. Be fascinating. He's a big fan of Tempting Fate. Every time there's a dip in the audio, I'm like, oh, is this it? Is this it? It's 2:20 now, folks. Very conceivably, at any moment, Trump could walk out of those doors. Have a look at this poll. What Trump will we get today? The wicked audience was asked. The wicked Senate was asked. Humbled, 20%. Ranting, 80%. Yeah. That's a tough question. Because you know what? I'm going to go. I honestly, let me be clear. If I'm right, it's luck. I don't know this. I could go either way. But I'm going to join up with Humbled here. I'm going to say I think he's going to be scurred. I don't think he's ever even had a whiff of consequences. And I think the idea that there's a court case ahead of him, and it's one of many, is going to twist his guts up. Give him the wobbly legs. Beeping's making me nervous. Don't you dare run out of battery. All right, so this Yahoo News article talking about the other cases. Let's have a gander. Well, Tuesday's arraignment of former President Donald Trump will be the first time a former U.S. president has been charged with criminal offenses. It likely won't be the last. By summer's end, Trump could be charged in no fewer than four separate criminal investigations. In fact, while Trump's indictment stemming from his $130,000 hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels, what a weird time to be alive, represents a legal threat to the former president, the others may carry a greater risk of serious consequences, including possible prison sentence. Oof. Here's the latest on the 3 other investigations that could result in more indictments for Trump. Georgia election interference. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis will soon decide whether to charge Trump with multiple crimes for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia. As Yahoo News reported in late February, Willis and her team are going over the possible charges they may file against Trump and his associates with a fine-tooth comb. An indictment could come in the next few weeks and may contain multiple criminal counts because there is such a tsunami, this is a quote, of potential counts that the DA could bring. The proper analytical frame is to ask whether she'll bring a laser focus, narrow case, or is she going to bring a sweeping, broad case, Attorney Norm Eisen told Yahoo News. Oh, that doesn't bode well for Trump. At the center of both potential prosecutorial approaches to charging Trump is his infamous phone call to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger on January 2nd, 2021, just 4 days before a coup d'etat, in which Trump urged him to find enough votes to flip his loss in the crucial swing state. Trump has insisted that he did nothing wrong in the perfect phone call, but according to Eisen, it would be an especially prominent part of the prosecution's case could Willis pursue a narrowly tailored indictment. If she brings the more laser-focused case, the anchor of that case, and the most dangerous to Trump is the solicitation of election fraud because it fits his solicitation of Raffensperger, Raffensperger to find 11,780 votes that did not exist. Like a hand fits a glove, Eisen said. Wild. The J6 investigation. Yeah. These other ones would be good for us to get. But that is the number one. The J6 investigation. Do we have democracy or not? I mean, that's just what it comes down to. If you let people get free swipes at democracy, then we don't have democracy. Like when you see a character in a movie take 2 steps after they've been mortally wounded and they fall over. If we don't put this guy on trial for that, then this time we're living in isn't democracy. It's the 2 steps before democracy dies. The latest defeat came last week. Let's just go on. In the ongoing federal grand jury investigation into Trump's role in the January 6, 2021 effort to overturn the 2020 election results, we can shorten that up to say the 2020 attempted coup. Trump's lawyers have failed to convince federal judges, but it's not me saying it's a coup. It's an organization which measures coups around the world. I watch my wording there. Trump's lawyers have failed to convince federal judges that his conversations with aides, family members, and associates are protected by executive privilege. The latest defeat came last week when U.S. District Court Judge James Boasberg ruled that former Vice President Mike Pence was required to testify before the grand jury convened by special counsel Jack Smith. Pence's lawyers have argued that since he was acting in a role, we're currently talking to our counsel about the balance of that decision. Moving on, let's see something interesting. While Trump's legal team is expected to appeal Howell's ruling, executive privilege claims are harder to uphold in matters involving potential criminal acts. Meadows, for instance, had also fought a subpoena to appear before the Fulton County grand jury in Georgia, but lost that battle and eventually did testify. Ooh, you love it. And then, of course, the classified Mar-a-Lago documents case, which recently got even worse for Trump, as he admitted. We talked about this in our first stream today. He came out and made it clear that his case is not based around whether or not he took the documents. It's based around whether or not he was allowed to. And I'll tell you, that's not a very complicated case to try. Was he allowed to? Open up this law book here. No. Nothing further? Great. Guilty. I mean, That's why Hannity was asking the question he was asking. I went a little hard on Hannity for not getting what Trump was doing, what Trump was saying. But it's because the reason Hannity didn't get it is because it's so absolutely asinine. It's so dumb. He's screwed by that. It's really the question in that case is not then going to be whether or not he's guilty. It's how guilty. Did he take him? Apparently, he's not even going to argue that he took him. Did he keep him against? Did he lie to the government and keep him? Oh. Yes, we'll talk about that and more. But hey, there's that jackass. Takapina, goodbye. Oh, baby. I hope they didn't manage to convince Trump not to speak. That would be the smart move, is not to say a GD thing. Oh, but he can't help himself. He can't help it. Credit where it's due. That is a fine tie that man was wearing. I like a nice powder blue. Yeah! Yeah! Oh, sad Donald. Yep. Just walking around. Walking by like you didn't see anybody there. Oh. I don't know what you guys are here for. Come on. I'm hoping he comes back and gives a little speech. Haven't been this guy. Couldn't fathom the pressure of being this guy. But I've stood next to the guy that's operating the camera right now. I cannot tell you the nerves this dude has. This Reuters photographer who is providing the feed to the whole world right now. And he knows it. And he's like, okay, did I get all the batteries? How am I on battery? Good? Okay. Should I zoom out a little? I should zoom. Maybe this is good. This is a good frame. Okay. Do I have tape? Nope, we're streaming it. That's not a problem. Just appreciate that camera is not being controlled by a robot. There's a human being with nerves of steel right now, providing the view of history for us. No idea who those cats are. Photographers, I'm assuming. I'm excited. Ending that poll. Oh, Bad Wolf. 7 people watching. What a joke. Well, hey, Bad Wolf, thank you for being one of those watching and contributing. And hide user on this channel. Will 2024 says the McDougal payoff is worse than Daniels. Bragg is going to drop it all. Interesting. The McDougal interview 3 years ago is damning. Ken J says, dump Trumpkin. Fair enough. Franny P says, his base won't like humbled. That's true. His base will not like that. Ooh, Wicked Foxy Dragon offering a really good point. It will probably be bipolar Trump. I think if any of these is correct, that's going to be the one. I think he will probably understand that he shouldn't mouth off and be unable to stop himself. That is probably the reality. I'm going to stick with my original guess just as a matter of honor and say that it's humble Trump that's going to come out. But can't stress enough, that is purely a guess. Will 2024 says he's giving a speech at Mar-a-Lago at 8 p.m. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And incidentally, the third stream of the day, second full show we're doing, starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on this channel. I hope you will join us for that. We're absolutely going to be covering that speech. Are you kidding me? Come on. Zix1326 says, and a sturdy tripod, LOL. I don't. Whoop. Well, David's in trouble. I think they're getting ready. I think it's happening now, right? Yeah. I think they're getting ready for him to come out and say a thing. I hope it's here. I really do hope it's here. I was expecting the camera to like go outside and then whatever, but how fitting that will literally be from behind bars that he's giving this speech. I know it's there for security, but behind bars. Ah! Oh, come on. Oh. Just everything about this guy. Like it was written. Like it was written by a smarmy political professor at a college. So I'm thinking everybody got cleared out because Trump is going to speak. But wouldn't have that been all press in there anyway? I didn't know you could have a beard on the NYPD. I'm regretting some life choices now. Officer Claus, ready to rock. Periwinkle tie, still looking sharp. Still probably working for the devil. Nazi haircut, chilling out. Oh my God. Flabbergasted, man. Will 2024. I'll be here, popcorn in hand. Hell yes. He'll be in hair and makeup for another hour, says Jim Green. No way. I feel like right now what is happening is Joe Tacopina and company are going, don't, please don't. And Trump's like, I'm not gonna say much. 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 Don't say anything. I'm not gonna say much, Joe. Joey, I'm not gonna say much. Just gonna go out, maybe lightly threaten the prosecutor and his family. Maybe just sort of do a light little lean towards the Mexican judge or whatever. Christ. I wonder where he buys that yam-colored spray tan, says Will 2024. I don't know. But I definitely think that we should look up Just for Yams and where you get it for sure. Jim Green liking the officer clause. Thank you. Oh my God. I do remember, and this is, I'm not poking fun at Trump specifically. Everybody who's been president ever is not on time for anything. And it's maddening because you can't, when you're covering them, you can't not be there when they say they're going to be there. Which sucks because that expression, hurry up and wait, becomes such a thing. In this case, though, every second that we wait is delicious because it's going to be Trump having a big fight with his lawyers. over what he can and cannot say. Here's that door is open. Ah! Okay. So there's prosecutors heading out. They are not to cross paths. So I expect. Oh. I expect we're going to have Trump soon. Ooh, Secret Service. Talking to Secret Service. Okay. Officer Claus pretending like it's the regular day. I didn't hear nothing. Ooh. Oh, don't you just wish we had a fly on the wall there? Ooh. He actually, what are they looking at? They're looking out at the, this area where he's going to speak. Are they saying it's not cool? There's something lacking? Yeah, they're definitely attending to something they don't like out there. Oh, oh. Okay. I mean, how fitting that he's literally going to give this thing from behind bars. Sorry, I'm a giggly son of a gun of late. I got a poll for you here, though. Vote empty podium 2016, says Mars Falcon. Zix1326 says spray tan. I thought it was jaundice. Honest to God, I'd believe either. Did Trump receive a gag order today? There is the poll. I'm curious to hear what y'all think. Those two dudes remind me of the Mortal Kombat games back in the day where they would just color swap assets, but it was clearly the same asset. It was different suits, whatever. Just bald guys with an earpiece. I have never been able to trust anybody with the buzz cut but the long floppy hair. Fine with the buzz cut, but commit, you know? Come on. All right, folks. Looks like this is indeed the moment. Or at least the moment before the moment. They're ready, though. Drink it in. Feel good. This is what a lot of decent folks have been preparing for. Whoa, Mars Falcon. I can read lips. They're saying, Don will be out in a second. He had to drop a deuce and adjust his hairpiece. Okay, how much longer? Depends on if he has to change pants. Okay, we'll see. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so just what we were all assuming. Great. Great. So far in the Wicked poll, did Trump receive a gag order today? 40% yes, 60% no. Interesting. I desperately hope he did, and I would be disappointed if he did not. Not to say I don't think you're right, but MSNBC has picks inside the court. Let's have a look. NBC Trump indictment. Nope. Arraignment. All right. Live updates. Reading from MSNBC. There's a picture. Go. Get this in. That. Here's Trump. I'll fan that out a little bit. Entering the courtroom. Looking like a happy camper. Oh, let's look at that face for a second. Oh, you love to see it. You'll love to see it. Yeah, there is Donald John Trump having an awful day. The first of many, one hopes. Let's see. Just now on MSNBC, Yasmin V saying that Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, has announced that once his defense team is given a copy of the indictment, they will ask for a brief recess to review it before proceeding. This is from Katie Fang, who includes an adorable picture of her puppers. Trump was seen entering the courtroom about 15 minutes of course, 15 minutes later than the scheduled 2:15 Eastern Time arraignment. I see. Once the indictment is shared with Trump's lawyers, they will ask for a brief recess to review it. Trump lawyer Joe Tacopina announced earlier. So that makes sense, and that goes to what I was talking about earlier, which is them just desperately pleading with him to not make things worse, not make their job harder. Zix1326 says, some of us don't have the hair in front anymore, so I concentrated on the back. Oh, you're going to have to give me tips, man. It's beating a quick retreat. I'm trying to appreciate it while it's here. Jim Green says, I just realized, though, if I start proper balding, I'm going to do, at least for a week, an afro. Because I'm going to try to pick it and, like, go frizzy, because I love the look of a balding afro. To me, that's the most leftist you can get is smoking weed you grew yourself from cedar seeds while you've got a balding afro. Mark L. Madison says, Q theme, Imperial March. Yeah. Donald Trump, to me, is like the Imperial March if you played it on a kazoo. Franny P, still photographed from the court with Trump at table with attorneys. My girl. All right, let's have a gander. Not in that article. Trump arraignment updates. Get a look. Trump arraignment pictures. There he is entering. There he is giving the Black Power sign. Okay, good to see he's changed sides there. Waving at crowds. Discreetly soiling himself. Not discreetly soiling himself. Picture of Trump's fingerprint. Picture of Stephen Colbert drinking booze. Side note, one thing, I'm going to make fun of Midas Touch a little bit, but it's lovingly. One thing... What? Hold up. Mars Falcon. The close-up on Trump's sitting at the defendant's table shows the staples holding his hair on. Creepy stuff. It's like luminescent. It's bluish-white like death. Ick, ick, ick. I gotta see this. I'd heard about the staples with the whole... When I referred to him in the earlier stream as a spousal abuser, that actually is related. Let me refresh this MSNBC thing, see if I can get that photo of... Oh, there's the courtroom photo. I don't see the staples, but it's not the close-up. Let's look at the first courtroom photo. Oh, God, it's a good day to be alive. Trump arraignment 2. So earlier, later, when I, earlier, later, Jesus. Earlier, when I thought what we were seeing was Trump leaving the courtroom to go talk with his attorneys, what we were actually seeing was Trump arriving at the courtroom because he was late. Now, presumably, he's sitting in there, similar to this. There he is in court with his, well, when I say crack team of attorneys, understand that crack is a word that can mean a lot of things. Anyway, with his team of crackpot attorneys, I'm going to look for now the gross picture of him with the hair staples. Not because it's relevant to justice or particularly mature, even, just because I'm just dying of curiosity. I gotta know. Close up hair staple picture. Ew. This is Gawker. Oh, wait. No, this wouldn't be it. And I'm not even sure this is real. And also, I don't even see the staples. Just too much scalp. All right. Zick says, LOL, MSNBC is detailing the new lawyer for Orange. Pretty humorous. He worked for Manafort post-pardon. Jesus Christ. He left his law firm and is now solo. Makes sense. His only client is Orange. Yep. Hope his savings account is in good shape because he's not going to get paid, I'll bet. Yeah, totally. Mars Falcon. Yeah, observe the line where he violently changes color from orange to blue-white corpse tone. Ugh. The dead area before the hair picks up color again. The bolt marks the face side of the dead zone. I see. The guy next to the woman. All right. Have a look. Oof. Trump. Ooh. Look, I promise you this: if I don't find it in this go, I am petty enough that I will hunt that mother down. Trump arraignment in court. Pictures. This is something I truly, just fundamentally do believe. I think the public has a right to see every court case and nearly every moment of every court case, with the exception of protecting the victims. I think whether or not you are for or against the person in trial, you should be able to view it. Specifically so that you can make sure that everything is going copacetic. Zooming in. All right. So I guess the slightly petty game that I'm not above asking us to play is staple or vein. And let me know if this is the picture you're thinking of. That same picture we showed a moment ago, in fact. It's just in higher resolution. Hmm. So here's the question: staple or vein? going to increase this even more. I see what you're talking about with that line. Although I do believe it is spray tan that we're talking about, if that's the case, because you can see it on his ear a little bit. I could be wrong, but like the lobe of his ear, I feel like, caught some of that spray tan. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do think that that rise is a vein rather than a staple. Or maybe not. Honest to God, who's to say? This guy's such a bizarre character. Shrink this down to a workable size. Just checking behind the scenes. Everything appears to still be trucking. That beeping makes me nervous. On account of I really don't want the camera to cut out when things are juicy. Before all this, there was something we were talking about. Oh my God, Mars Falcon, you threw me off big time. Oh, Dustin Buck. All right. Dustin Buck says Trump 2024. And Mars Falcon says, hear you, Dustin Buck. Do you think Trump will be sentenced before the end of 2024, though? Might drag out, partner, but I hear you. Yeah, no, I'm with Dustin Buck 100%. I do believe that Trump has earned 2,024 years in prison, for sure. I used to work with a guy named Dustin Block, and I have made it a point not to like tell my friends and family about this channel or like what it's called. But I keep hoping that Dustin Block will turn up because he was a very internet savvy guy that appreciated indie podcasts. NY Time. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. NY Times. Trump pleads, says Will 2024, not guilty to 34 felony counts. Well, yeah. We assume so. Let's have a look at MSNBC. Trump arrest live updates. Yep. They are also reporting Trump pleads not guilty to 34 counts. Good God. 34 counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy. Woof. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to all 34 counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy in the indictment unveiled in Manhattan. Sure. I'm going to look at that article, but first I want to address the serious stuff we were talking about earlier. 34 felony counts, says Franny P. Just trying to update. Thank you, Franny P. I appreciate it. Pled not guilty. Yeah. Thank you. You were way ahead of this. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Didn't catch a chat at that particular time. But well done, Franny P. Thank you. Now I'm going back over chat for a second. Yes, had on his best grumpy, he thinks, stern face and giant clown tie. Our troll is back. Yes, indeed. Yeah, he does look bored. He's not getting to talk about himself. Other people. Mars Falcon, Lo siento, partner. I was just creeped out by the death color of that space between his face and hairline by his ear. Didn't mean to distract. No, not at all. We're looking to be a little bit petty and have some fun with this. But look, he is pled not guilty. I'm not going to, as with a lot of other Trump-related crime things, at this point, I'm not going to keep being like, oh, but he is guilty. But he is. Don't know it. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Alvin Bragg says that 34 counts, this cat did crimes. And Trump says he didn't. And now the cool thing, and Dustin Buck, we're going to be both satisfied by this, I think. The the cool thing is we're going to get to see who's telling the truth and who's not. We're going to go into a court of law, and if Alvin Bragg is just playing games and wasting everybody's time, cool. Trump's lawyers will knock him around in court. It'll be made obvious, and that guy will look like a fool. But if it turns out Trump did do those crimes, he just said he didn't. So if it turns out that he did, and the evidence is there, different conversation to have. Mars Falcon, know why Franny P can't see the ball? Because Franny P is on top. Okay, Franny P cannot see the ball. Know why Franny P can't see the ball, says Mars Falcon? Because Franny P is on top of the ball. Hell yes. I love it. 34. Let's have a look at that more detailed article. Trump has pleaded, this is by Jordan Rubin. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all 34 counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy in the indictment unveiled in Manhattan on Tuesday. The former president's plea was expected, but it nonetheless kicks off an historic criminal case. It's the beginning of what could be a lengthy legal process in New York. It will be. It will be. And it may only be the first of multiple indictments to come for Trump, who faces additional probes of the Department of Justice in Georgia. Dustin Buck, if I understand correctly, and I'm not trying to, we busted your chops a little bit ago. I'm unbusting of the chops, Mr. Buck. Am I correct in assuming you are a Trump fan? And if that's the case, I'm curious to know, what are your genuine thoughts on these charges? Let's say, first of all, do you think he did this thing or not? The falsifying of the business records. And number two, if you think he did, do you think that's a bad thing? Do you think that's the sort of thing that should be pursued? Let me know. Mars Falcon, that will buy so much top ramen on the inside. Never mind. I'm reading it to a different conversation. Nick Dougal paperwork is in those charges, says Will 2024. Interesting. All right, so here's a summary by Jordan Rubin. The broad strokes of the seedy saga are by now familiar. Former Trump lawyer and fixer Michael Cohen, who testified before the grand jury convened by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, arranged the infamous hush money payment to porn actress Stormy Daniels in the run-up to the 2016 presidential election. Payment was intended, they allege, to keep her quiet about an alleged affair she said she had with Trump. The issue to me really is the cover-up more than the crime. I've heard people make cases like, oh, if the American people knew about this, it would have made a difference. Maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have. I don't know. But the cover-up was literally designed to use his business to hide payments that affected a campaign. And if we say that is okay, I fully expect the punishment will be like laughably light. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's part of something even bigger. But let's just say that's all that happened. That's all it was. There's not a greater scheme that's being uncovered here to regularly do this. It's just that. If we say that's okay, it opens the door for everybody to do this stuff. Suddenly, if you're a guy that owns a big, successful business, then you just have immunity from scandal because you can bribe your way out of it legally. And anybody who's running against you who may also, let's just say, have had an affair or done whatever thing that you cover up with your businessman money, they don't have that ability. So it's just yet another advantage we'd be given to rich folks. Can't have it. Cannot have it. You cannot use your business to pick and choose what the public will know about. We're supposed to be running for these offices in a fair way. Okay, so Property Brothers up front there could just thank you. Oh, come on. Now he's just messing with us. I'm sorry I called you Property Brother. I am absolutely on the edge of my seat for this. Finishing up Mr. Rubin's article, the former president has denied the affair. Fair enough. Which may be beside the point. Yeah, in a case that could turn more on the manner in which, in which Trump allegedly covered up the hush money payment by falsifying business records. Cohen pleaded guilty federally in connection with the hush money scheme in the Southern District of New York. Trump, however, was never charged federally, even though Cohen directly implicated him in the scheme. That's kind of something else. Trump's got to get punished for this if he did it. Because now what you can't say he definitely did it. But if he did it, as they say he did it, Trump's got to get punished for this because Cohen got punished for it. And if Donald Trump is able to prove that he didn't do it, first of all, it will surprise me, but I will accept it. Because I'm going to be watching the case. And if he proves it to a judge, he'll have long since proved it to me. But then we got to talk about forgiveness for Cohen. Because I've heard people talk about what Cohen went to prison for, and part of it was, yes, lying to Congress. But not all of it. Part of it was this. And an apology will be due. Compensation will be due. We'll see. There's no way this ends that isn't interesting. All right, I'm going to read a couple from Dustin Buck because I asked him a question and I want to give him a fair answer. Dustin Buck says, am I reading this correct? You are so full of it. Yeah, largely. You don't have a secret to hide? No, but that's not because I'm a particularly moral person. I'm just not bright enough to keep them effectively. Dustin Buck says, look, the bottom line is the presumption of innocence is being ignored here. Everybody has secrets. This is just a man. You are attacking a straw man. Not really. It's hard to straw man a former president. The question I was asking, though, earlier, Dustin, is number one, all right, let's take do you think he did it out? Because I grant, yeah, we have to have the presumption of innocence. Here's the thing, though. You and I, don't need to presume anything. We have to just be honest about the fact that we don't know. The court has to presume innocence. And the prosecutors must make their case to the court. That's how that works. We are allowed to speculate like wild as long as we're very clear about the fact that we're speculating. And I am saying that. But what I am not advocating for is for the judge to find one verdict or another. I think, folks, based on what we've seen, I think I know what the judge is going to find, but I could be wrong. So I guess my question to you really is, do you agree that this would be a bad thing? Just on its face. Forget the level of punishment. Forget all the wild details that get wrapped up with the politics of this. just on its face, do you think that it's okay for a presidential candidate to use their business to cover up payments to somebody? That is, if that's what he did. He says it's not what he did. We literally now have that. He said that is not what he did. So, in fairness, he says he didn't do it. But if it turns out, no, that is what he did, do you think that's okay? And if so, all right, why? We've allowed this to be a law. Why doesn't it apply to this guy? My anger, generally, in politics, a lot of it ends up, being pointed at the Republican Party. But let me be clear, not all of it. It's at corruption. It's just at corruption. I don't mind losing a fair fight, but I am sick to death of engaging in politics in the United States and being told that that was a fair fight. It is not. Rich people have a massive advantage. And coincidentally, when they break the law, it just so happens that's when we must be oh so generous and oh so merciful. We wouldn't want to be barbarians. Poor person breaks the law, throw the book at him, get that bum in a prison cell, hose him down with cold water. Just, it's weird to me. And it is obvious corruption. Ooh, 309. We are likely on the I've just said it a bunch of times. We are likely to see it soon. There's no way this is going to go on and on and on. Will 2024 says it's called conspiracy. Yeah. Look, the jury candidates have a duty to presume innocence until he is proven guilty. Me? This is Mars Falcon. Me? No. I have witnessed Trump commit crime after crime in public with my own eyes for decades. Fair enough. I still think O.J. Simpson did it, yet he walked free. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mark Furman, you SOB, for that. Mars Falcon, let us look at each individual charge, then look at the evidence, hear the defense, then make up our minds. You with me, Dustin? Yeah, I think that sounds like a great plan. Mark L. Madison says, Mars, that's the I did my research on Facebook approach, though? I don't know that I agree with that. Mark L. Madison says, there's a whole system we're seeing play out of professionals. I doubt you or I are qualified to untangle 34 my tax crimes and make up our minds in a cogent. Yeah, no, we are, though. Here's the thing, Mark Madison. I see what you're saying, but the purpose of this, the purpose of the whole, right now, nobody is. You're right. Right now, nobody on earth is. And all the people on MSNBC that start clucking tonight, they don't know. All the people on Fox that start clucking and say, trans people are going to murder you, don't pay attention to this. Whatever Fox says tonight. They don't know. What this is designed to do, though, this whole jury trial that's going to happen, is to explain it to regular folks, of which that is the one qualification I do have, is I am a regular person. It's designed to just break everything down and lay the evidence out so that 12 regular folks can make an informed decision. And we're going to get to watch. And we are not in those 12 folks. Those 12 folks represent us, largely speaking. But it is going to be able for us to, it's going to be presented in a way for us to be able to make up our minds. Yeah. And that's part of the reason I am excited for the fact that Donald Trump has been indicted and is going to have this hashed out in a court of law. Because right now, there's two factions in America that have a very different set of facts. And I feel that we need to put this in a courtroom where you cannot lie. Alvin Bragg can't lie. Donald Trump can't lie. So with neither of them able to lie, with Alvin Bragg required to present his evidence to prove his accusations, we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm excited for that. And if I have a couple of potential Trump voters here, let me just tell you, yeah, I'm a lefty. I'm even a far lefty, and I don't view you as my enemy. Mm-mm. I view wealthy people as our enemy, and they are wealthy because we are not. Now you know my bias. Granny P, regular folks are held accountable, and so should powerful folks and rich folks. Yeah, agree. Mark L. Madison says, I'm just happy to be here with y'all folks. Hell yeah. And by the way, I love your thumbnail. I love your thumbnail. Honest to God, I was going to, the reason my thumbnail is a cartoon, I was going to try to max headroom this a little bit, but it was way too much work. Mars Falcon, I think you misunderstand what I'm saying, Mark L. Oh, I'll let you guys have it out. A Howard Zinn kind of lefty. I like to think of myself as a clean for Gene type, you know. But there's no hiding it. I'm my bias will lean incredibly left, and all I can do is be upfront about that and ask to be corrected where people believe I am incorrect. So hopefully I learn. All right, updating this MSNBC article. They are updating. We knew this is from Jessica Levinson. Well, I'm going to read both of these. Jessica Levinson and Hayes Brown have interesting points or things they're talking about. A key conspiracy count raises new questions, says Jessica Levinson, reporting for MSNBC. To be fair, we knew and predicted that Trump would face charges related to falsifications of business records. Okay. The big new legal news thus far is that the indictment includes a conspiracy count. Conspiracy count is important here. It suggests the charges are bigger than the known payment made by Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels and also include a financial arrangement with former Playboy model Karen McDougal. Okay. The prosecution could also be looking into an agreement between, this is interesting, between Trump, Cohen, and David Picard, the former publisher of the National Enquirer, but we eagerly await more details. All right, so yeah, that's going to what I was talking about. If it's something bigger than just this one payment, if it turns out this was part of an organized cover-up scheme that he had run for years or whatever. I don't know that even with that scary-sounding charge, though, in terms of the actual punishment a person would get for it, I don't know that we're talking very, like, if your brother was convicted of this, I'm not sure that we'd be like, well, say goodbye to him. He's not going to be here for Thanksgiving. It might be like, I honestly don't know. I guess I shouldn't say. But I still don't think even though we're taking it very seriously because it is a former president being charged. I don't know that this is going to be. I had friends and family do time. You know, this is, all things considered, not so much. Two immediate things stand out about the charges, says Hayes Brown. Well, we don't have the full indictment document in front of us yet. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records and conspiracy for his alleged role in the hush money payments to two women towards the end of his 2016 presidential campaign, per NBC. This is secondhand reporting. Two things interesting here. First, we've been calling this the Stormy Daniels investigation for weeks now. Two women were cited in the charges. All right, that's not really new news. That's just confirmed from what we heard days ago. We learned only last week that the grand jury was reportedly hearing evidence. All right, second, I'll finish that. Was reportedly hearing evidence about the money paid to Karen McDougal as well. Second, that among the charges related to business records is at least one conspiracy charge. Yeah, more of the same. But the point is he's pled not guilty, so he says nay. Will 2024 says next up, federal tax charges. Very likely, actually. I mean, yes, that's extraordinarily likely. Will 2024, I'm a George Carlin kind of guy. Hell yeah. Mars Falcon says, use the Eminem still pic from his Rap God video. Then darken the hair and add a stash. Ooh, I dig that. Oh, okay. I'm trying to, at the same time, get some more in-court pictures. Come on, give me some good stuff. They have the same 5 or 6 versions of the same shot. It's just at different levels of closeness as everybody steals from each other. If you want a team working for you that will find the absolute most efficient way to get something done, by which I mean the laziest way, hire news producers. That is a team of people that will 100% find out where all the work can be cut out. I have not come, bearing in mind that I only worked in local news. I was never worked at a building where you're like, oh, fancy. I worked at a building where you're like, I bet every coffee cup in here has a little bit of mold in it, and you'd be right. But again, I got a good sense of what the entirety of the industry is like, because that's where most of the stuff you hear about comes from. It does come from local stations. Every news producer is exhausted all day, every day of their entire career. All day, every day. If you meet a news producer, you are talking to someone who is exhausted. And they will, as a result, just be conditioned, and rightly so, to seek the easiest way to do anything, because they have got way too much stuff to do. One new update. Here we go, baby. Trump arrest live. Former president pleads not guilty. Sure. Okay, thank you for this from Hayes Brown. He says, stop asking the Biden White House about Trump charges. Yeah, it could not have, it has nothing to do with Joe Biden, and it should not have anything to do with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's opinion is irrelevant here. And I'm so sick of this guy getting asked questions about it. It is irrelevant. I don't care what Joe Biden has to say about this. No one should care. How about this? Instead of asking Joe Biden about it, how about you ask your town's mayor? How about you ask the dog catcher? It's not their job. It's not their job. Why? Because they competed against each other once. They may compete against each other again. It doesn't matter. Joe Biden's opinion is not to be taken into account. There are so many things in this world, says Hayes Brown, where reporters can and should ask the White House for comment. Trump being charged with a crime is not one of them. Oh, God, here we go. I think the American people should feel reassured that when there is an ongoing case like this, okay, good. I will read this quote because it is an ethical, proper quote. I think the American people should feel reassured that when there is an ongoing case like this one, ongoing case like this one, that we're just not commenting. White House spokesperson, I'm going to get through this, folks, Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters today, son of a gun, I just don't know what the point is asking about this case, especially since Jean-Pierre has recently declined to comment about it. There is no word where she answers any questions about today's arraignment with something like, "Oh yeah, the president thinks he's totally guilty. Lock him up." Yeah, exactly. So they lacked a crucial quote in that sentence. But yeah, the White House not weighing in on criminal investigations used to be the norm, and it should go back to being the norm, and it looks like it is going back to being the norm. So good. Don't give a damn what the president thinks about a criminal trial. Except for one thing, I honest to God think we should get rid of the pardon power. I'm so sick. I never liked that presidents had that ability. And if you want proof that it's a scumbag ability to allow a president to have, they tend to do all their pardons, or at least the vast majority of their pardons, on their way out the door. So they didn't have the balls to do it while they were in office and people could say whether or not they were pleased by it. And who do they give pardons to? Their friends. Republican or Democrat. They give them to their friends. Half of them. I don't understand this, Zix. Break it down for me. I was watching a local news segment from Tennessee. Apparently, they're finding out they elected George Santos II. Who was that? Oh, yeah. Oh, that fella. I don't remind me of his name, but yes, the guy was every bit the fraudster. Dustin Buck says, "Hey, ask yourself a simple question. Why are the charges nondescript? They're pretty descript. We haven't seen them yet, but we're going to after the arraignment. But I mean, if you want to know why don't we have details on them, it's because Trump gets to see them first. That's just how this works. But yeah, then after that, then we get to see specifically what they are. But arraignment is where the charges are formally presented. So Trump won't be the second person to hear about it. He has a right to be the very first person to hear about it formally. After that, though, we have a right to find out what they are. So the answer to the question, why are they nondescript, is because the arraignment's happening now. Zick says, pronounce her name. It's French-derived. So Jean is pronounced like, oh, okay. Thank you. That does help quite a bit. I've been struggling. Let me take another whack at that then. Oh. We actually have a new update. Yeah, 1 minute ago. Judge is reportedly very concerned about Trump's online rhetoric. Oh, here we go. No, was it that fast? No. I think he's going to take another pass. That's just them leaving the court, and then they're going to go have a massive argument between the lawyers and the client. I mean, he's got to talk. Yeah, okay. Then while we're waiting for him to come out to talk, let me read this update. Karine Jean-Pierre. There, now I've said it. All right, here's the update. Whoop. Another update. It's coming in hot now, folks. Courtroom reporter gives details from inside Trump arraignment. Judge is reportedly, there we go, very concerned about Trump's online rhetoric in laying out the charges against Trump. Assistant District Attorney Chris Conroy, I'm hearing, yes, just preparation, told the presiding judge that his office is seeking a protective order. So we were right about it looks like they're pursuing the gag order regarding discovery materials, according to NBC News producer Adam Reese. That move comes in response to Trump's, and this is a quote, recent threatening emails and speeches, both directed at New York City, the courts here in New York, the justice system, and the district attorney's office, Reese relayed via phone to MSNBC's anchors. This is from Katie Fang, Manhattan Assistant DA. Son of a gun. Just clicked on the link. Hold up. Manhattan Assistant DA told the court it will seek a protective order regarding the discovery that will be produced in this case. One moment. I think that just means that Trump is not allowed to talk about the details because he would then cover them, or twist them in the public light to his advantage. The worry that the DA's office laid out was that Trump or his attorneys might use items from discovery to potentially threaten witnesses, never mind, it's even worse, and members of the jury pool. In response, the judge told Trump's lawyers that he's very concerned about the rhetoric from their client, even as they tried to defend his statements as a free speech issue. We'll know more soon enough about whether any sort of protective order is actually granted, but the fact that it's even a possibility speaks to how Trump's posting addiction could affect the course of his trial. I'll be shocked if they don't do a gag order based on his behavior already. Y'all are Trump fans, I'm sorry, but I mean that behavior's been inappropriate. Wildly inappropriate. And dangerous for these officials. Look at that. Whether you're happy about it or not, let's just acknowledge for a moment that we are seeing history together, folks. So is that guy filming? Don't. Oh, don't do that. I'm gonna look up, see if Trump has given official word that he's not gonna say anything. I just can't picture that in my head, that Trump wouldn't have a ton to say. Also going to look and see if I can get us some other, maybe some MSNBC, even Fox. Let's look at, let's see what Fox is doing if they're covering this live. Oh, those handsome devils from What You Can Do are live with it. Maybe I'll check that out later. All right. We're going to do Fox coverage of this live business.
Choreographed, of course, as you'd expect, and certainly a fascinating sight. I mean, imagine the people who are just going about their lives, certainly by this part in the route. Maybe they're just walking along their daily life.
Gotta be.
There goes Donald Trump from the courthouse. It's a pretty wild, surreal sight, no doubt about it, as he is heading towards LaGuardia Airport, and really a whirlwind 24 hours or so.
Absolutely. 5 years in the making, this investigation. Again, a year ago this week, we thought that this investigation dead in the water. Alvin Bragg resurrected it, and here we are today.
So, yeah. He's heading out.
He's pleaded not guilty, and this is just the start now. We need to find out more about these felony counts, what they entail. We'll hear from
Okay, coming up. Where am I hearing this? I'm still hearing background sound. Is that perhaps from... No.
Kind of what we've been seeing the days leading up to this moment, too, from him. But it is such a historic moment.
Yep, and as you mentioned, yep, he's going along the FDR. I can see off in the preview monitor, they've got the podium set up for Alvin Bragg. Eventually, he's going to take to that and break down. Here's a look inside right now. We're waiting to hear from the Manhattan DA about the 34 felony.
All right, well, they're setting that up. One point of contention, the only people that thought this investigation was dead in the water were people that exclusively watch Fox and OAN and et cetera, Nobody else thought this investigation was dead. That was not commonly thought. This was not a resurrected investigation. You would have had to believe that Trump was telling you the truth. And there's a very narrow group of people that believe much of what Trump has to say. Let's listen
Well,
to
you
what
know,
this
Steve and
lady
Natasha,
says.
we all keep talking about the news conference that DA Alvin Bragg is going to be having, and he's going to be having that shortly, but it doesn't mean he's going to be taking questions. There have been many times where the DA will come out, whether it's DA Bragg or any other DA that I've covered in my time here in New York City. They may come out and just read a statement, make a statement, that's it, and that's the end of the story. Or he may, in fact, end up taking questions. Now, as far as the mood is out here, it is much quieter than what it was before. That's because the crowds out here have no idea really what's going on. Nobody can see the video. Nobody can see the pictures. So most of these folks here are just kind of hoping that they're going to get a glimpse of the president. And I had to just tell some of the folks here that he's left the building already. This is an area here where they had set up some additional barricades before Trump had arrived this afternoon. This is keeping the public at bay here, and this is out in front of...
So I'm turning this way down. Yeah, Trump has left the building. Bragg is about to speak. Let's read some comments. Let's end that poll. Trump just left court, says Franny Pete. Franny, I'm going to hire you as a reporter at the earliest opportunity. You are 2 steps ahead of everyone. Every charge will be listed by statute and subsection violation, sure. Oh, Jesus. Lady Gag Order and her poker face, says Mars Falcon. They literally have done that before. Remember Trump tweeting about witnesses as they were testifying? Yeah. No better place than here to experience history being made, says Wicked Foxy Dragon, and you are 100% correct. And I'm flattered. Thank you. Yeah, I'm having a blast hanging out with y'all. Mars Falcon says, look at the dozens of people in that crowd. Will 2024, gotta run, folks. I'll be back at 8 for the evening festivities. Be safe and take care. You too, my friend. Jim Green says, how much is that SS detail costing us? A lot, but we gotta have it. Dustin Buck asks, why are you ignoring my comment? Mars Falcon says, which one, Dustin Buck? Let's find out. I'm at work and I try to keep up, bro. If you don't know what context I'm responding to, then I don't know what to tell you. I'll take a whack at it. I'll read through here in a moment. Let me go up and see what he's talking about. Dustin Buck, those charges are nondescript because there was no action and therefore no victim. No, the charges are nondescript because there is a ton of interest on this case and people are speculating. And if you're not aware of that, it's probably because they haven't done a good enough job of making it clear that they're speculating. But we don't have a right to those charges before the defendant does. So they're nondescript because we don't really know. Now we just got an overview because they were read out in court. So it's now the public's business. So we now we know a little bit more about it, but we're going to hear more and more and more. And tonight, we'll have them pretty much in detail. So the reason why is because things are working as they're supposed to, and Trump is being treated fairly. Let me see if I can get my box back. Yeah, there we go. Comforting blue box. What we are waiting for now is DA Alvin Bragg. He is, in theory, going to come out. And speaking of, as Dustin Buck, you've pointed out, you have an interest in these charges. You want details. You want information. Well, Trump had a right to hear him first. He got that. Now, Alvin Bragg is going to come out, and he's going to read probably a short, prepared statement. He might take questions. We don't know. Maybe not. But most likely what he's going to do is explain some of those charges. He's going to say, all right, this is what we charged him with. Now he's been arraigned. He knows it. Here are the details, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now the part where the charges are explained to you, as in you, the people, that happens. So, and that's what we're waiting to hear. Let's hear what Fox is saying. Hold up.
Take questions. Back inside to you.
All right, Linda, yeah, that's the next really big milestone in today.
Just explain the same
thing from Alvin
Yes.
Bragg, but the extent to which he relays a lot of information remains to be seen. As she mentioned, he may not take questions. It might be a very short statement. But as of this moment, we still don't know what the 34 felony charges are that he's facing. So that press conference from the DA will certainly put that to rest. But how much more information we'll get out of him remains to be seen. We'll take you to that live as soon as that happens, of course.
But it is interesting, Enron, just kind of talking to Linda there about Todd Blanche. I mean, Trump took this seriously, bolstered his legal team. He's watching, and you say that his legal team there, you know, Joe Tacopina, Todd Blanche, Suzanne Nicholas, I mean, these are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're all, in their own right, skilled attorneys, and they have different specialties, right? They're all defense attorneys. But as you hear, Todd Blanche comes from Cadwalader. That was the firm that he just resigned from in order to take on this defense. Other individuals in that firm were also involved with the Manafort case, as you just heard, and also the Weisselberg case. He's resigned to take on this defense for Donald Trump, and he comes from a pedigree, if you will, in terms of a legal background out of the federal system with the U.S. Attorney's Office, and he's a white-collar crime defense attorney. Then you have Joe Tacopina. Joe Tacopina, he's a defense attorney who takes on cases, federal cases, state cases, but he has a great sort of New York way about him. And if this case is going to be tried in New York, that's someone who's going to speak to a New York jury. So everyone's filling a role here. Suzanne Nicholas, she is an attorney with a great grasp of the law. Of course, all his defense attorneys are, but she also plays a certain role on that team. You know, and just also the fact she's a female attorney. It diversifies the sort of defense bench, if you will. And I'm not, you know, differentiating gender for any particular reason, but these are the thought processes that we as attorneys have in
It's
mind
fair enough.
when we're thinking
I just
about
want to
the
say that was a
outcomes to the
very
jury.
polite way of
Who's
saying
going to speak
Joe
to whom on
Tacopina
the
does
jury? Are we
does
going
not
to
have the same
put forth
qualifications
sort of
as the other
a
cats up there.
diverse,
And
defense team that the
he's
jury
not a
can
knucklehead.
relate
He's
to,
just,
can
I've
we
heard
are
him
the-
called awful
essentially the
things,
voice
but like,
for our client.
not
You know, not in many cases a defense
bringing a New
defendant
York
will not testify in a criminal case. They
attitude
rely on
is
their
not
defense
much of a
attorneys to handle
qualification.
all their sort of advocacy and be their voice. And that's why you want to have a team which is diversified, have different skill sets, who are great attorneys, both on paper and also when they're arguing in front of a jury. And I think that Donald Trump's team really reflects all those different components.
Very well. You know, let's go out to our colleague, Ashley Rodriguez. She's also out by the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, where things have been ballistic.
just to be clear, I want Donald Trump to have great representation. I want him to have great attorneys. If he's right, if he didn't do those things, I want it proven. Or rather, I want the prosecution's inability to prove it made obvious. So I want Donald Trump to have great representation.
First time I can actually see across Collect Pond Park.
It's really emptying out. The energy is leveling off. So we have the anti-Trump protesters. They've really cleared out. I mean, they were pretty outnumbered the whole day, but they have definitely cleared out, as well as the pro-Trump supporters. And as you mentioned, it has been pretty uneventful, which is good. The commissioner, the NYPD commissioner, and the mayor would be very happy about that. There have been some flare-ups of tensions. And what happened was, with this park, they pretty much put up barricades and separated the two sides. It's when the two sides merged or came together, that's when you saw the tension flaring up throughout the day. I'm actually standing right near a walkway, and we have video of this. I can show you an example of one of these tension flaring up situations. I'm standing near a walkway that was leading into the anti-Trump protesters, and when pro-Trump supporters would come in, it would just cause chaos. I actually took a walk around the park recently, and it was more chaotic outside of this area. It's because that they were separated, things were really peaceful throughout the day.
Yeah, boring is good, folks. Boring is good. Hold up. Do you guys hear a background feed? I have Fox turned totally down. Hold up. Right now with my hands up, do you hear something? Yeah, I'm still hearing our earlier feed. I have no idea where that's coming from. Live TV, folks. But anyway, it's good that it's boring. It should be boring. There shouldn't be clashes like this. I don't like seeing that.
Trump had left the building, people started clearing out. And again, we're just concerned as they clear out outside of this area, what it's going to do, what it's going to be like, and, people interacting with each other with opposing views, if it's going to cause any issues. The NYPD has been out here all throughout the day, very strong, heavy presence. They have not been getting involved. When little scuffles would flare up, they would just stand by and watch. Their presence alone kind of mitigating it and taking it even further. But something I noticed was their NYPD Community Affairs team. They did an excellent job of stopping any issues before they started. They're the gentlemen, if you can see behind me, in bright blue jackets. And once they see somebody who's starting issues, they go directly. They make a beeline for that person, and they kindly ask them to leave the area. And again, most of the time, the tensions, the issues that we saw was when one of the supporters or the anti-Trumpers would, cross lines, cross sides, and try to make
So right here, we have a case of an excellent test case for the usefulness of specialty police officers, whose job it is to calm things down and politely ask people to do things. Good. Good to know for the future.
Now that people are leaving and flooding the surrounding streets and the city. We'll send it back to you.
Ashley, thank you. We want to go now to Morgan Mackay, who is on the phone, who was in the courtroom. Morgan, tell us everything. Walk us through what you saw. Donald Trump's seeing him for the first time. Morgan Mackay on the phone now joining us again. She was in the courtroom. Morgan?
Yes, Stephen and Tasha, former President Donald Trump entered the courtroom a little after 2:30 today, and he entered a plea of not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Now, he's due back in court on December 4th. Now, his lawyers did say that they were hoping that he didn't have to appear, just citing the immense cost on the city that this entire arraignment has costed the city, with NYPD officers outside and just with all the media. Just what a huge burden this has been on the city.
So to Dustin, to answer what you were talking about earlier, you're saying it's a victimless crime. I think you're viewing this the wrong way. The victim, and I'm going to ask everybody to let it go. Yeah, December, Mars Falcon, yes. And as we said earlier, believe it or not, that's fair. Because now we have to give lots and lots and lots and lots of time. So there can be no arguments, lots of time to Trump to prepare his criminal case. Let's talk about the victimless crime for a moment. The victim is not Stormy Daniels. Nobody's suggesting really that it is. The victim is the American people. The failure to disclose this information, or the using, my understanding is the using of the business to cover up the payments, hid information from the American people. So that is the victim, theoretically, in this crime. Let's listen to what Fox is saying.
With the adult film star Stormy Daniels, who is being referenced in this case, and that he almost took her case. Now, Tacopina said that he only reviewed evidence, one piece of paper that was sent to him when Stormy Daniels was trying to attain Tacopina as her lawyer.
It's a problem that
Tacopina is already in Daniels' book.
Looked at Stormy Daniels as a client.
Been public information. So the judge said he wasn't going to remove Tacopina as a lawyer, but he did tell Trump that if he wanted a new lawyer without a conflict of interest, he has a right to do so. And Trump acknowledged this and moved on. But besides that, the indictment itself is expected to be unsealed later today, and the defense has about 65 days to turn over any evidence that they might have.
And Morgan, it is interesting that you were actually in the courtroom. Of course, you could only jot down notes with pen and paper, right? Walk us through the process of how you got in there, what it was like being in there, how many people were in there with you. I think what a fascinating vantage point you had this afternoon.
Oh, exactly. So everyone had a color-coded card that they were allowed in. So the green card allowed you access into the same courtroom as Trump, and that was the one that people were standing outside in line since yesterday at 4 p.m. A lot of big media organizations were even paying journalist students to wait outside in this line to get inside to make sure they had this green card to be inside the courtroom with Trump. Then you had 2 overflow rooms. So you had a yellow card and a white card. I had a white card, so I was in one of the overflow rooms directly across from the courtroom that Trump was at. And security was tight. We had to go through 2 separate metal detectors. I would say there was about 30 cops on the 15th floor, just directing traffic. But they were very friendly. There was just an extreme amount of police presence in there, being very, very careful, checking. Even though I went through the metal detectors, they were still standing me down. They had dogs out there. You could hear the helicopters outside. And Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg entered the courtroom around 2:12, and he sat in the second row. So they had the entire front row of the courtroom where Trump was at cleared out for security purposes. And then in the aisle, for each aisle, there was a police officer standing in the aisle of each row facing the journalists that were sitting there. And that was something else. A representative of 20 media organizations.
Trump's attorneys have responded. We're going to play that while we wait for Alvin Bragg. Let me jump in here for a moment, get the setup for you. Here we go. Properties. Don't want it there. Okay. Oh, boy. Hold up. Stand by, folks. All right.
It's going to be there that sure you don't expect this to happen to somebody who was the president of the United States. And on the one hand,
I really don't like that as a talking point. You're damn right I expect this to happen to someone who was president of the United States. If it's a crime, if it truly is a crime that he is suspected of doing, then yes, I do expect this to happen to the president of the United States, as I would any other American. It's very unsettling to hear anybody suggest that the president should be treated differently or the former president should be treated differently. You just cannot have that in a fair society.
And on the one hand, there's not really any surprises. I know there was a lot of talk over the past several weeks and the past several days about what's going to be in this indictment and what's going to be there that we don't know. There must be something besides what we've been talking about for the past 4 or 5 years, there wasn't. There's nothing. The indictment itself is boilerplate. It doesn't allege any federal crime, any state crime that's been violated. It doesn't allege what the false statement is.
Doesn't allege any state crime, then what were you doing there? What were you indicted for? That doesn't make any sense. We're about to hear from Alvin Bragg. We'll see if what Trump's lawyers just said was true. But it wasn't. Because you don't get indicted for nothing. What would you be talking about in court? It does not make any sense.
And it's really disappointing. It's sad, and we're going to fight it. We're going to fight it hard. You don't expect this to happen.
That wasn't
to somebody who was the president of the United States.
All that revelatory.
And
back in the day, so to say, you had to file motions. You had to really actively seek out discovery as a defendant. Now it's almost like an open book, right? Open file discovery, and the prosecution is going to be giving that discovery over to the defense team. It's going to be interesting to see how the judge maintains sort of decorum over this process. And we heard right now that the thought process about a gag order or limiting the ability for the parties, particular Donald Trump and his team, about talking about that evidence. We'll see how that plays out. But I think most likely what we heard today was a warning that, rather than extrajudicial statements from Trump, his team, or even the prosecution, this needs to be a process that plays out in the court of law, not necessarily the court of public opinion.
While we have Morgan on the phone, Morgan, I am curious, what was the demeanor of the former president when being read these charges? Can you give us a little bit of color commentary, some insight on facial expressions, what you saw his team, just the overall demeanor of how the former president handled this situation?
Yeah, so when former President Donald Trump entered the courtroom, he had a very solemn expression on his face, and he stared straight forward for a lot of it. When the Manhattan District Attorney's Office was speaking, he did actually look at them. He was paying attention. He was looking down at notes his lawyers were handing him, and he was looking at his lawyers when they were speaking. He was very much involved in the process once it started. But right before that, he was looking straight ahead with a very solemn expression on his face. Now,
all right, folks. So we got a lot of debate happening in the chat, and I appreciate it. But let me throw this at y'all. Dustin Buck et al. I would recommend you wait for Alvin Bragg to speak. So far, what's happened has been perfectly normal, except for the person it involves, which is a former U.S. president. Not normal for a former U.S. president to have done these things, or it's not normal for a former U.S. president to be accused of doing these things. Either way, it's not normal. But that's the only not normal thing about it. The rest of this has gone incredibly normal. But here's the thing. I say this often because I mean it sincerely. If I'm wrong, I want to know it. I don't want to walk around being ignorant. On Fridays, and Dustin Buck, this is to you, because you seem to be, obviously on this channel, it's largely left-leaning. But I appreciate that you've got the chutzpah to come in here and say your piece. Specifically, if you have a piece of media that you feel we should watch, that informed you about this case and maybe gave you some of your opinions about this case, or throughout the week you see it and you go, that's it. That's a point I want these lefties to see. Come by on Friday at 9 p.m. We do a show called Friday Peace Talks, and we share media that we've seen that we think other people should see, and then we discuss it. I think you should participate in that. I think you should either just hang out and see what other people are watching, and so then you'll have a better understanding of what's informing us. And if we're wrong, you can tell us. And if you just want to look at it and laugh, you're welcome. Or you could also bring your own media in, share the link with us, and we'll look at it together. And if it turns out you're right and we're wrong, well, egg on our face. But if there's some flaws with that media that I feel are worth pointing out, we can discuss them. Friday Peace Talks, 9 p.m. I hope you stop by, Dustin, genuinely. Yeah, there's some debate about who's being jerked around. That's exactly what Peace Talks exists for, so that we can figure this out. And I'll tell you, I don't want you... I show a lot of, for example, MSNBC on here. I also show Fox, and I show CNN, and I show all kinds of things. But I don't want you to think that the message I'm putting out is that we can trust these people thoroughly. No, not at all. I have disagreements with just about every media enterprise, but there's different levels of disagreements, and understanding where their bias genuinely is important. Boxy Dragon, I'm learning so much about you. You have a degree in criminal justice? Well, all right. Oh. I'm hearing a mic check. That means Alvin Bragg's about to get going. Let's listen.
People don't realize you pay for that. All those bodies that you saw out there, NYPD, that's coming from taxpayer money. All the assets that go into place, the barricades, all of that comes from taxpayer money. So when Morgan was speaking actually about that, that's actually a valid point. The U.S. Secret Service actually...
Well, yeah, but what would you rather we have? We just ignore suspected crimes from a former president because it could cost us money, or we just we don't give them the protection? We don't protect the people? Come on. Even if you're of the group that thinks, nah, Trump didn't do anything. Well, there's millions of Americans, of which I am one, that thinks it looks like he did. The way to find out which one of us is right, which it might not be me. The way to find it out is in a court of law, in which case, yeah, we agree to undergo this expense to figure it out. If I'm wrong, want to find out. So that's the forum where it's done.
When we would work here in the New York field office, anytime a high-level protectee would come in, or the president, there was kind of this moment of, okay, who's going to pay for this? Because there's always a dollar tag attached to this.
Yeah. No, it is interesting. All right, so we've got the paperwork now on set. You've been pouring through it when you've had a moment. What's your initial reaction to what you see in front of you?
Well, we have 34 felony counts, as we've discussed. They're all falsifying business records in the first degree. So that's that E-felony.
Hi, as a physician, I like to help people. A lot of men are having sexual problems.
Well, that's not something you tend to see on a lot of other networks. Is an embedded... okay, here we go.
Fox 5 team out of New York. Sorry for that, as we continue to cover this major story here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, upcoming very momentarily, Alvin Bragg expecting to have that press conference where we'll learn more about the indictments that were just coming down right now. We're also getting a live picture as former President Trump is heading to LaGuardia Airport for his plane. You can see the plane on the tarmac. As you can see, they're approaching it really quickly, but this is the plane as he'll head back to Mar-a-Lago tonight to make that speech.
8 p.m.
So we're following all
I'm
this
excited.
right now here on Live Now from Fox. I want to put up just some statements and the indictment and statements of fact from Alvin Bragg, the Manhattan District Attorney. So this coming in right here on Live Now from Fox. I'm going to read these very long statements, very lengthy statements right now, as Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg today announced the indictment of Donald J. Trump, 76, for falsifying New York business records in order to conceal damaging information and unlawful activity from American voters before and after the 2016 election. During the election, Trump and others employed a, quote, catch and kill scheme to identify,
there is the victim I was talking about, the American
information about him and boost his electoral prospects. Trump then went to great lengths to hide this conduct, causing dozens of false entries in business records to conceal criminal activity, including attempts to violate state and federal election laws. It continues on saying Trump is charged in the New York State Supreme Court indictment with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Of course, I'm going to put this up alongside a potential press conference coming out and continue to read here. According to court documents and statements made on the record in court from August 2015 to December 2017, Trump orchestrated his catch and kill scheme through a series of payments that he then concealed through months of false business entries. In one instance, American Media Inc., AMI, paid $30,000 to a former Trump Tower doorman who claimed to have a story about a child Trump had out of wedlock. Of course, in a second instance, AMI paid $150,000 to a woman who alleged she had a sexual relationship with Trump when Trump explicitly directed a lawyer who then worked for the Trump organization as Trump's special counsel to reimburse AMI in cash. The special counsel indicated to Trump that the payment should not be made via a shell company and not by cash. AMI ultimately declined to accept reimbursement after consulting their counsel. In a third instance, 12 days before the presidential general election, the special counsel wired $130,000 to an attorney for a adult film actress. The special counsel, who has since pleaded guilty and served time in prison for making the illegal campaign contribution, made the payment through a shell corporation funded through a bank in Manhattan. After winning the election, Trump reimbursed the special counsel through a series of monthly checks, first from Donald J. Trump, the trust there created in New York to hold the Trump organization's assets during Trump's presidency, and later from Trump's bank account. In total, 11 checks were issued for a phony purpose. 9 of those checks were signed by Trump. As we were seeing here on Live Now from Fox, I was reading that statement as we can see the plane there on LaGuardia Airport as they were, Trump heading back to Florida to make that speech later on tonight. We're going to re-cue that moment up here real quickly as we continue to read all of these statements here on Live Now from Fox. I'm going to continue to read what Alvin Bragg said as all these feeds coming in right now. We will re-cue it momentarily. I want to finish these statements. Each check was processed by the Trump organization, illegally disguised as a payment for legal services rendered pursuant to a non-existent retainer agreement. In total, 34 false entries were made in New York business records to conceal the initial covert $130,000 payment. Further, participants in the scheme took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of the reimbursements. So that is the full statement from the Manhattan District's Attorney's Office here that we're watching here on Live Now from Fox. We'll hopefully hear from Alvin Bragg himself momentarily as this press conference will likely get underway.
All right, so to recap. To answer questions from the other side, so to speak. Why did we not hear about the specifics of these charges before now? Because Trump had a right to hear about them first. He's the guy who the charges are against. Now, what we are going to have happen, DA Alvin Bragg's going to come out just like he would with any other person that got arraigned and announce what's going on. Okay, not any other person, but most other people that get arraigned where the public knows about it. Usually, when this further detail is provided by the office, it's done with a press release. In this case, being done with an announcement to the press, which serves the same function. That giant tie flopping in the wind can only be one person. There's Donald Trump amscraying to Florida. We will be covering him live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern when he gives his comments. But first, here in this stream, we'll be hearing from DA Alvin Bragg. So he is going to say what the charges are and what he believes he can prove in a court of law. Donald Trump, I'm sure, will be saying the contrary. He just said not guilty. So he believes he didn't do what Alvin Bragg says he did, and Alvin Bragg won't be able to prove it. Oh, it sounds like we're about ready to get going. I'm hearing a bustle in the courtroom.
The other commercial flights can take off and then go from there. But yes,
I'm hearing I believe I'm hearing the bustle of the press getting ready to talk to Bragg. Let's listen to these folks.
Set up. You have a perimeter there. You want to monitor the vehicles going in and out, because it's not just people. You have to think about, from again, a tactical perspective, explosives, devices, vehicles passing through. One of the things that's really, really important are vehicles passing through. Any explosives, anything somebody can do, any type of mobile attack.
And one was interesting, as we were watching it live on TV, just you could see in the background all the people who could see it live from their apartments in Queens. There were just so many people.
Okay, not all that important. Interesting. Wicked Foxy Dragon says, forensics is awesome. I have to say, law is way more disturbing than crime scenes. Good Lord. Oh, man. So I have to tell you, I've had a second feed in my headphones, and I don't know where it's coming from. But it's definitely the press room. It's like the raw audio from there. So for some reason, I can still hear that. It's been an advantage. I can hear when things are kicking off. I'm going to go back to Fox. I want to hear what they have to say about this. And they haven't. I've been harsh on Fox. I think rightly so, because they straight up lie to their audience. And look, read the Dominion case. Read the transcripts of what Tucker Carlson and Sean Hannity have to say about their audience, and had to say about Donald Trump, and had to say about all of the election conspiracies leading up. They lie to their audience. But in this case, they haven't done much spinning on this coverage so far. So good on them. Credit where it's due.
As
for
you
sure.
can see, this is the pro-Trump side, where there has been a steady stream of people coming in, other people going, and this was also where there's been just a lot of focus from people saying things like, they're here to support President Trump because they feel he supported them. They also feel that this was a prosecutorial persecution, that former President Trump was being persecuted because of who he is and what he stood for, and that this was not fair, and that they wanted to show him some support. But it's been extremely peaceful, and the whole security plan that has been in place by the NYPD, which was to surround the entire park, have officers basically on deck, on standby, ready to go if things got out of hand, it worked perfectly, because when things did get heated, there were people that had flags that had very long poles on them, and they were waving them around. That got a little bit tense. We were in the middle of that for a couple of minutes, but by and large, it's been extremely peaceful. Everybody's respected everybody's opinion, and even when they heard the news of what had happened with the 34-count felony indictment, everybody was just, they got along basically, and so it's a much calmer atmosphere right now because there's a far fewer people. They still have NYPD officers who've been around the area here all day since early this morning, and then all throughout the day, ready to move, and it's just so far so good. We're almost through with it, and people have been here in very peaceful means. They've expressed their views, and even when they have disagreed with each other, they've respected each other. Nothing has gotten physical. A lot of handmade signs here too as well, and just a very good vibe right now. I mean, people are calm, they're accepting what's going on, and they just felt like they had to come out and express.
Well, that's good news. I'm glad to hear nobody's getting froggy. Good. And I stress again, look, Trump will have the presumption of innocence in court, and rightly so. He didn't get a free, back pat here where I'm going to suddenly start pretending like I think this guy is a saint. I don't. I'm of the belief that he's guilty of a lot of things. But once this goes into court, which it has now done, it's official. Not advocating for anything further. I was certainly advocating that this be heard out in a court of law. But now, no, nothing further. It's going to take till December? Okay. But I'm not pushing that. I don't want anything to make his defense harder than it needs to be. I want him to have the most robust defense he can, because at the end of the day, what I want is the truth. And if it turns out your old pal Jake was wrong, okay. It's going to be an unfortunate pill to swallow. I'll have to do a lot of re-examining, but it's not the end of the world. But I want the truth. Now let's see what Alvin Bragg has to say.
I don't know how much remarks he will make, if he will answer questions. If not, we've also heard a little bit from our Fox 5 team there in New York about just what they heard, what they saw from inside the courtroom. Their Fox 5 team, Morgan Mackay, was inside the courtroom talking about just some of the functions, the protocols going through with their talking about the demeanor of former President Donald Trump, staring directly ahead for some time, but also very much involved and paying attention to what his lawyers had to say, what some of the prosecutors had to say during this arraignment there. He was processed. Of course, we do know that spared a mugshot.
In total, the grand jury found there were 34 documents with this critical false statement. Why did Donald Trump repeatedly make these false statements? The evidence will show that he did so to cover up crimes relating to the 2016 election. Donald Trump, executives at the publishing company American Media Incorporated, Mr. Cohen, and others agreed in 2015 to a catch and kill scheme. That is, a scheme to buy and suppress negative information to help Mr. Trump's chance of winning the election. As part of this scheme, Donald Trump and others made 3 payments to people who claimed to have negative information about Mr. Trump. To make these payments, they set up shell companies, and they made yet more false statements, including, for example, in AMI, American Media Incorporated's business records. One of the 3 people that they paid to keep quiet was a woman named Stormy Daniels. Less than 2 weeks before the presidential election, Michael Cohen wired $130,000 to Stormy Daniels' lawyer. That payment was to hide damaging information from the voting public. The participant scheme was illegal. The scheme violated New York election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. The $130,000 wire payment exceeded the federal campaign contribution cap, and the false statements in AMI's books violated New York law. That is why Mr. Trump made false statements about his payments to Mr. Cohen. He could not simply say that the payments were a reimbursement for Mr. Cohen's payments to Stormy Daniels. To do so, to make that true statement, would have been to admit a crime. So instead, Mr. Trump said that he was paying Mr. Cohen for fictitious legal services in 2017 to cover up actual crime committed the prior year. And in order to get Michael Cohen his money back, they planned one last false statement. In order to complete the scheme, they planned to mischaracterize the repayments to Mr. Cohen as income to the New York State tax authorities. The conduct I just described and that which was charged by the grand jury is felony criminal conduct in New York State. True and accurate business records are important everywhere, to be sure. They are all the more important in Manhattan, the financial center of the world. That is why we have a history in the Manhattan DA's office of vigorously enforcing white-collar crime. My office, including the talented prosecutors you saw at arraignment earlier today, has charged hundreds of felony falsifying business records. This charge, it can be said, is the bread and butter of our white-collar work. And fraud presents itself in all different forms here in Manhattan. We have charged falsifying business records for those who violated federal bank secrecy laws. We have charged falsifying business records for those who were seeking to cover up sex crimes. And we have brought this charge for those who committed tax violations. At its core, this case today is one with allegations like so many of our white-collar cases. Allegations that someone lied again and again to protect their interests and evade the laws to which we are all held accountable. As this office has done time and time again, we today uphold our solemn responsibility to ensure that everyone stands equal before the law. No amount of money and no amount of power changes that enduring American principle. I'll now take questions.
So we're going to take a limited number of follow-up questions, one question per reporter.
This is going to be fascinating. In short, those 34 counts come from the different parts of the crime that is alleged. So it would be a couple of counts for Cohen's various payments, etc., a count for the AMI, yada, yada, yada.
We conducted a thorough and rigorous investigation, as we're known to do, at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. I've been doing this for 24 years and am no stranger to rigorous, complex investigations. I bring cases when they're ready. Having now conducted a rigorous, thorough investigation, the case was ready to be brought, and it was brought.
Mr. Bragg, the indictment says that there were 34 false business records. And they were done to conceal another crime, but the indictment does not specifically say what those crimes were. We are assuming, perhaps, that they might be election-related. I'm wondering if you can specify what laws were also broken.
Right. So let me say as an initial matter, the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require. In my remarks, I mentioned a couple of laws, which I will highlight again now. The first is New York State election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. I further indicated a number of unlawful means, including more additional false statements, including statements that were planned to be made to tax authorities. I also noted the federal election law cap on contribution limits.
But why weren't there those crimes charged? Why wasn't he charged with those crimes?
Well, I'm not going to go into our deliberative process on what was brought. The charges that were brought were the ones that were brought. The evidence in the law is the basis for those decisions.
You had expressed a year ago that you had some reservations about the case's readiness. Can you talk to us about what were some of the questions in your mind that needed to be answered in order to bring a case of this magnitude?
I'm not going to go chapter and verse into any thinking. What I will say is I believe the time period you're talking about, I'd been in office for a couple of months. The investigation, in my view, was not concluded into the conduct in particular that is the basis for the charges today. Since that time, we've had more evidence made available to the office and opportunity to meet with additional witnesses. So, as I said earlier, I've been doing this for 24 years. I don't bring cases prior to a thorough and rigorous investigation. Now, having done so, the case has been brought.
Your predecessor took a hard look at this case and decided not to charge it. Federal prosecutors took a hard look at this case and decided not to charge it. Do you believe you have new evidence that led you to decide to charge this, or why now?
Well, as I just mentioned, we have had available to the office additional evidence that was not in the office's possession prior to my time here. And as to your part of your question about the federal, we have a distinct and strong, I would say profound, independent interest in New York State. This is the business capital of the world. We regularly do cases involving false business statements. The bedrock, in fact, the basis for business integrity and a well-functioning business marketplace is true and accurate record keeping. That's the charge that's brought here, falsifying New York State business records.
We're going to take a few more. Yep.
Thank you. DA Bragg, I'm just going to read back one line from your statement of facts. The participants also took steps that mischaracterized for tax purposes the true nature of payments and furtherance of the scheme. Do you allege former President Trump was one of the participants who mischaracterized the payments for tax purposes?
I'm not going to go beyond the plain language statement of facts, which I think speaks for itself. So the charge is falsifying business records. The charge requires, as I specified, criminal conduct that was concealed. One of the concealed crimes we allege is New York State election law. I sort of went through, and our statement of facts, which I think many of you have in front of you, goes through things including text messages, emails, contemporaneous phone records, multiple witnesses. All of that will be, as you saw in the fall, borne out in a public courtroom in downtown Manhattan.
Last question is Jonah.
DA Bragg, the charges that related to the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels, the release from your office, also mentions another woman, Karen McDougal, as well as a doorman. Can you comment on how those players are related to the charges you've brought or to the case overall?
I'm glad you put your finger on that, because it's not just about one payment. It is 34 business records, 34 false statements in business records that were concealing criminal conduct. And the earlier question about New York State election law, when I talked about conspiracy to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. Those unlawful means, we allege, include the conduct set forth in the statement of facts, which is additional false statements, separate and apart from the charged ones in AMI documents, planned false statements to taxing authorities. It is not just that one $130,000 wire payment. Thanks so much.
Wow.
At what point do you think that that order is necessary?
Yeah, in full disclosure, I also would have enjoyed that last question being answered. At what point is a gag order necessary? I'm of the belief this dude needs a gag order toot sweet. Whether or not you think he did a crime, whether or not you think Alvin Bragg will be able to prove that he broke the law in the way Alvin Bragg just said he did, you cannot be threatening a district attorney who's investigating you. You cannot be harassing the wife of a district attorney who's investigating you. You cannot go after the judge who, I mean, we can't have that. Let's see if we get any questions. 34 components of the crime make one giant Voltron crime. Yep, Mars Falcon, there it is. 34 components of the crime make one giant. That's about it. Wicked Foxy Dragon says 2 misdemeanors equals a felony. Everything after the 2 misdemeanors just makes the case more solid. Yep. Mars Falcon bringing up Spiro Agnew. Hell yes. Spiro Agnew scoffed at the witch hunt against him right up until he had to plead guilty to avoid prison time and resign from office. It's always a witch hunt from Jump Street when they're guilty. That's what I suspect we're going to find. We'll see. Mars Falcon, quote, I don't know the exact charges, but it's a witch hunt. Oh, those checks? Yeah, minute to confer with counsel, Your Honor. Mars Falcon, my question is, why didn't Alvin Bragg unhook the mic and drop it? Just kidding. Yeah, look, you're a Trump fan. We're going to try to be nice. But it's not looking good for you. But hey, we'll find out in court. Maybe these are on the thinnest of evidence files. I don't know where I'm going with thin there. Maybe it's this case is weak, it turns out. And Alvin Bragg found these 34 charges on a rumor. Maybe. If that's the case, he'll get torn to bits in court. Because you got to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't think Alvin Bragg, who charges these cases all the time, I don't think that's the case. Y'all, that was a moment, huh? Well, we've heard what the prosecution has to say. Trump has been arraigned. 34, good God almighty, 34 counts. Rather serious situation here. The main takeaway I heard from Bragg there is that, yeah, this was part of a scheme. He did this perpetually since 2015? Yeah. The fact that it's ongoing, the fact that it was a regular thing, yeah, that changes the nature of it. We will see tonight at 8 p.m. what Trump has to say about it. I'll be here. I hope you will be as well. I had a blast hanging out with you today. If you think I got it all wrong, you might be right. I invite you to swing by at the later stream, sure, but most importantly, Friday at 9 p.m. for Peace Talks. Come by, bring something you think we should watch, educate us. Why not? And we'll talk about that. We'll also fact check live. So have Google handy. Get ready to tell me if and when I'm wrong, and I'll do the same, inevitably, for Tucker Carlson. That twat. Anyway, I will hopefully see y'all later tonight. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. Thanks for hanging out with us. My name's Jake.